Let's start. Q-Jump, 2021, 6. Page 29 Number 1. Dear Sean. Sean. I'm excited about our plans for this year's revamped conference. As you know, pulling off this event will require a lot of planning and writing. We'll need to create an email plan to blast potential attendees, write event page copy, and then develop the agenda and presentations as well. Leading up to the event, I'd like to work from home 2 days a week. In previous roles, working from home increased my productivity. Wednesday and Friday would be ideal work from home days, since we don't have any team-wide meetings. Of course, I can be completely flexible and come into the office if we ever do need face-to-face time, and I'll be available by phone and email on work from home days, in case anything comes up. Eager to hear your thoughts on this plan. Best, Carrie. Carrie. Page 29 Number 2. Corporations establish rewards to drive performance. Often these rewards focus on meeting budgets and avoiding risk. Rewards of this type cause managers to invest in safe products that pose little chance of a big loss but also little chance of a big profit. These rewards totally block any motivation to explore riskier paths. The companies reward the speed at which low-risk products are created and marketed, even if they are hoping for radical new ideas. The outcome is little appetite for risk and an overdose of incremental ideas. Interestingly, managers get frustrated with the outcome, blind to the behavior that the organization is explicitly or implicitly rewarding. A badly designed measurement or reward system mutes the rest of the rules, even if optimally designed. Page 30 Number 3. In the United States, we tend to equate creativity with novelty and originality. But the high value that we place on novelty is not shared universally in all cultures. In performance, for example, we find that in almost all cultures, including our own, improvisation is allowed only in informal performances, in formal settings. In contrast, improvisation is not allowed. Formal performances must follow the movements of the dance or the words of the script. In most cultures, rituals forbid improvisation. This seems to be related to the power of ritual. A ritual can only perform its supernatural function if performed exactly, and a divergence from the appropriate dance or script would result in an ineffective ritual. In a traditional U.S. Christian wedding, the religious official is expected to say, "I now pronounce you husband and wife." An unexpected creative improvisation such as "I exclaim that you are now joined for life," or even "from now on you will be married," would be disturbing, generally not welcomed by the participants and audience. Page 30 Number 4. You may have heard or read that Laurence Olivier was widely believed to be the greatest actor of the past century. Laurence Olivier. But when you see one of his films, you may wonder how that could be. This assessment comes largely from those who saw him perform live. He was an amazing and brilliant technician who took big risks and thrilled audiences far enough away not to be able to sense his technique. He rarely reached that impact on film where his work sometimes looks calculated. Richard Burton, also respected as one of the 20th century greats, had a voice so huge that it would sometimes overwhelm the camera, the microphone, and all the intimacy of film acting. 20 Richard Burton. To this day, many audience members and critics maintain that if you did not experience either of these men in the theater, you did not experience their magic. Page 31 Number 5. Political acts vary in their capacity to convey information about what citizens want and need. The vote is a notably blunt instrument of communication. Although winning candidates often claim a mandate, in truth they usually have only an imprecise understanding of what was on the minds of the voters who placed them in office. In contrast, the many forms of direct expression of preferences, a sign at a demonstration, an email to a senator's office, a prepared statement at a meeting of the local zoning board, can communicate clear and, in some circumstances, quite specific messages. Organized interests are especially likely to communicate detailed information when they contact public officials, and this information frequently helps in the process of policy formation, although it presents a particular point of view. Page 31, number 6. In many ways, digital photography has turned the usual approach to photography on its head. It used to be that a photographer would look and then shoot, taking time to compose the image and look for important relationships within the scene before tripping the shutter, even if it was as rapid-fire as street photography. Today, most digital photographers shoot and then look. They expose the image first, then look at the display on the camera back to see what they captured. Digital cameras make it easy to proceed in that manner because if you are not pleased with the image you've captured, you can simply delete it. You can't do that with film, where the exposure is permanent and you have to move on to the next frame. Digital photography certainly frees you up to do more shooting, but it's a double-edged sword because it also allows you to do a lot of really bad shooting. Page 32, number 7. When you begin to tell a story again that you have retold many times, what you retrieve from memory is the index to the story itself. That index can be embellished in a variety of ways. Over time, even the embellishments become standardized. An old man's story that he has told hundreds of times shows little variation, and any variation that does exist becomes part of the story itself, regardless of its origin. People add details to their stories that may or may not have occurred. They are recalling indexes and reconstructing details. If at some point they add a nice detail, not really certain of its validity, telling the story with that same detail a few more times will ensure its permanent place in the story index. In other words, the stories we tell time and again are identical to the memory we have of the events that the story relates. Stories change over time because of the process of telling, because of the embellishments added by the teller. The actual events that gave rise to the story in the first place have long since been forgotten. The end. Good job.